Okay, let's see if this works this time. Last week, I went to a conference at USI and I learned about this website called Codap that's free. And it says for students in grades 6 through 14. And so I haven't jumped into this a lot, but I want to give you the basics and hopefully get you as excited about this as I am. So I clicked on for educators here. And I'm not going to read all this to you, but the great thing is it says it's great for grades 5 through 14. And not just math, but social studies, computer science, and science as well. And there's a lot of things you can go through here to do. I also followed them on Twitter. What's really great is these getting started, and you can kind of just jump around. There's also a startup guide and help pages. These are some samples if you go to the sample data sets that they have already, and you can even break it up by subject. But really interesting data that then you can have kids break down and think about what's happening. So what I did in my conference is we clicked on this getting started part 1, and it just asked you to do a few things. And so what's really cool is if you have a CSV file of data that you want to import in, you can. This one is already done for you. And so you can see that it's mammals and lots of information about them. You can make something in Google Sheets data, and then you could save that as a CSV file and then incorporate it. You can also make your own table and enter it in here. You can also edit this one and add or take something out of it if you wanted to. But here's what's really awesome about this. You can take this and you can pull the graph over. Maybe I just need to click on it. Graph. Oh, yeah. And then you can put whatever features you want on there. And so maybe you want to look at the height versus the mass. You also can just look at one variable. You can pull the mass over here. And you can even break it up like by diet and add a third variable. So if you put that right in the middle, you can put the third variable in there. Notice that the mass kind of, they're kind of all jumbled together here because they're small. And you can change it out as well. Like let's say I want to change it to speed versus mass. Actually, I want to put height versus speed. I changed my mind. And it just adjusts the scales for you and let kids digest what that is. Also over here, you can do different things, but the ruler is the most exciting one because you can add a movable point or a movable line. And so you could ask kids to, if there's a correlation between these two variables, which there isn't on this one, you can put that in, and you can even do a least squares regression line to do that. So really cool stuff, and it's very easy to work with, in my opinion. Some examples that we looked at some examples like here's the Titanic, and so it gives you the gender, their class, their age, and whether they survived. And so if you wanted to look at a graph of this just to see what's happening here, we could put their class here on the bottom and just ask kids to think about this. And something that our presenter told us is think about the examples in the textbook. Often they're old and outdated and they don't really relate to kids. Not that the Titanic relates that much to kids, but some kids are really interested in that. And so you're able to take a big amount of data and not just the cookie cutter weird examples that are given in the textbooks here. And then maybe let's look at like how many survived from each class. And with a big amount, like this is over 2,000 points, it takes it sometimes a little bit to move it around, which is I enjoy watching as well. And so maybe it's hard to see what's happening from there. I don't think it's that bad, but you can also put the count here, and that would give you the numbers. You can do the percent. And notice you can change it by row or by column. I think column makes more sense here. So you can see like what percent of each class survived and didn't survive. And again, you could even throw in another adult versus child part in there I feel like there was, I don't know. There's a way to make those into bar graphs instead of just the dots. But again, a really cool way to look at data. I know I'm taking too long. Hopefully you're still watching. So this one is probability, and you can make your own probability sets on this, but just kind of show you, this one was an example of like the probability of winning at this fair game was 20% chance. So we have a 20% chance of a prize. And you can add in extra ones, and then you can put in like how fast, if you want to see this or not. They're selecting 3 items. There's 50 tries. How many are winners? And you can actually see that happen. But as you can see here, I've done 5 examples of it, and you can see the number of prizes per player, 0, 1, 2, or 3 prizes. And then this is the total number of prizes. And so kids can make their own experiments and then do them on here to get a large number of values. Okay, really fast. This one is a roller coaster one, which is super cool. What I love about this one is because the latitude and longitude, you can pull a map up and you can see where the roller coasters are. And what's really cool is if you click on one of these in the map, I don't know where my map went, it will be highlighted. So I just clicked on this one, and that goes for the graph as well. You can see over here the blue dot is on there. You can do the same thing if you can click this dot, and it'll highlight it in the chart for you and highlight it on the map. Last thing, because I thought this was amazing, this last data set, this is the PDF I'm going to share with you that goes through how to do all this stuff. If enough people are interested and you'd want to meet in my room for a little bit, I'd be happy to kind of work through this. I am by no means an expert because I just learned about it, but I'm super excited to work with my students using this website. But this one has 15 years of data about the number of births in the United States every day, which is just a large amount. And so what's really cool is think about what you think this data set's going to look like. Is it going to be normally distributed or not? For like on January 1st, 2000, there were 9,083 births, but on January 6th, there were 12,000. And so this is so much data, I did this ahead of time because it takes a long time to put all that data on the graph. I put births down here and then added the day of the week. And so notice that this is like bimodal, I believe is the correct term. It almost kind of looks like 2 normal curves in the same graph. And look at the days of the week of like this cluster here is on Saturday and Sunday, whereas this is the rest of the days for the most part. And so think about, ask kids, why would Saturday and Sunday's births usually be less than the other days of the week? And so what's also really cool is they give you some questions to consider on your own if you want to have students take those questions and discuss. And then we looked at it one other way. So now we have the date of birth on the bottom here, the day of the week still, and then the number of births. And again, you can see that the Saturday and Sunday color coding is up here. But what's really cool on this graph is to look at the outliers, the ones down here that aren't purple or yellow, to think about what do you think would cause those. And so just let me hover over a couple of these here, and you can look at the date on these. Isn't that crazy? Oh my gosh. All right. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks it's crazy. You also can look at some of the high ones and talk about like, what are these peaks and what causes that? And so a bunch of math people in the room were really excited about this. And I just wanted to share this with you as well. And so please let me know if you have questions. I'll try to help you. Also, I can ask the professor that showed this to me, or we can reach out to them on Twitter and try to get some help as needed. But definitely you can import, you can create a copy of this and just share it with your students so that everyone can get on and work together. Really so many awesome things that we can do with this. Thanks for listening.